Hey guys, this is a market update. I know there's a few questions out there about the rest of this bull market now. Like, what are the catalysts that can actually drive us higher? Are we topping out? Is the bull market over? I don't think it is. I think we still go way higher. And I want to explain why in this video. I want to focus on fiscal and monetary policy. Those are the things that I think drive asset prices. And everything else I believe is noise, although it can get very noisy, of course. Look, we all know what's happened over the last week or so. It drove us 14% down from the all-time high. In retrospect, this event, if we just carry on, will not even register as an event. People will forget it very, very quickly. Look, what I said in previous videos is if we get anywhere near this green box, that is where I will start to get interested in adding to my short-term positions. So I've got short-term trading positions for this cycle, futures trades. We did get down into this box, but it was so quick. I didn't add any positions here for my short-term trades. I did add a spot position. That's just my normal weekly DCA. I got a pretty decent price for that before we actually bounced here. But in the big scheme of things, it doesn't make any difference. It's a weekly DCA, right? It just doesn't make any difference getting 100 or versus 104 or 98. It doesn't matter, right? In the big scheme of things. We came down for a few hours and then bounced right back up. Now, of course, we could go down again. If we come down anywhere near this green box, like I've said, for an extended period or anywhere near the 50 period moving average, I would want to add to my short-term positions because I still believe we're in a bull market. And I'll explain why in this video. However, if you do want to trade, if you trade from a crypto wallet, go to Apex via the link below. You can get a permanent fee discount on Apex. You just trade directly from your crypto wallet. If not, you can trade on Bybit. You can get a $30,000 deposit bonus on Bybit via the link below as well. Just check the links in the description for all the details. It's been very noisy this week, but also under the surface has, in my opinion, been a lot of signal that is maybe being not talked about or ignored because of all the noise. I just don't think that this is a very big move in the big scheme of things, what we got this week. And in any case, we're at 105 right now for BTC, right? So we recovered any kind of nervousness. But the signal is that the Fed has to massively cut rates. And I'm not talking about QE and everything's collapsing. I'm just saying that they just have to go back to normal. Neutral policy is not 4% rates. Their own inflation measures are coming into 2 to 2.5%, actually below 2.5%. They're at 4% or above on the short end. They are wildly offside. They can come down 1 to 200 basis points without even being stimulative. What they would consider neutral, which is their official measure of inflation versus their official interest rate. None of that is actually real, right? Like the real inflation rate is not 2%. It's more like 8 to 10%. But their policy goes on their metrics, right? They are wildly offside. So just to come back to neutral would be a massive drop in interest rates, which is stimulative. And on the fiscal side, you've got the BBB, the big beautiful bill coming, will eventually get done at some point, whether it's in July or they push it out. That will come, and it is stimulative. Those are the things, the massive, massive things that will drive the Bitcoin price for the rest of this cycle, plus all of the demand, which we're seeing specifically for Bitcoin. So this event this week, completely, it's tight. You can't even measure it. I don't think we're overdone. We are 100% above the 200-week moving average. This is not typically an area where Bitcoin tops out. This is a very long-term chart for Bitcoin. Up here, this red box is where Bitcoin, I think, would start to get pretty overdone in relation to its longer-term trend. Bitcoin is growing. There's no question about that. It's just we're looking at short-term trades that we have on. I've got short-term trades on. I don't want to be adding to short-term trades in this red box. I want to start to be actually getting out of those because I personally think after a huge bull market, and if Bitcoin is, let's say, 300, 400% above its 200-week moving average, that's where Bitcoin is probably a little bit overdone in relation to its trend. If we get there, then I can make some decisions. But for right now, all I see is a few major positive events that can drive the Bitcoin price higher. So let's get on to that. Firstly, the Fed is starting to flip a little bit. Now, they do have to come down. It's pretty obvious to everyone that if their official inflation rate is 2.5%, coming into 2%, and their interest rate is over 4%, they're just offside. They need to come down in rates. It's not like everything's collapsing, QE. It's just you're way offside. Your rate is completely wrong right now, right? So you have to bring it down just to be neutral. And they're starting to slowly flip the narrative and come over to that side of things because they have inflation versus jobs, right? They're starting to worry about jobs. This is just the way that they release this information to the market, they may start to becoming a little bit more dovish, not dovish, just neutral, right? So the pace of job creation is a concern. It's something that Powell says. He says a lot of stuff, but if you read between the lines of all the other governors as well, now, to be fair, these are probably loyal or, on the side of Trump a little bit more, but it's important, right? Because they will start to pressure the rest of the Fed board. Fed Governor Wallace says central bank could cut rates as early as July. It doesn't matter if they cut rates in July or not. It matters that the market feels like there's a sway away from them focusing on inflation and just being way offside at like 4% on the short end, to then eventually saying, hey, no, actually, we should be cutting at some point. Whether they cut or not is completely irrelevant. If the market thinks that they will start to cut at some point, even if it's July or September or whatever, the market starts to price that in and gets more dovish. The market is going to start buying bonds, which is going to push the price up and the rates down, which is stimulative. So it doesn't matter if they cut or not. It matters that the market feels like they're starting to sway that side. Wallace says central bank could cut rates as early as July. Mickey Bowman, should inflation pressures remain contained, I would support lowering the policy rate as soon as our next meeting. Right, so July meeting for a cut, and that would be way more dovish than the market is currently expecting, I think. The market is trying to price in 2 rate cuts, 2 25 basis point cuts, 50 basis points. They need to come down 100 basis points, 125 basis points, right? That's what they need to do. But of course, they can't say that now because then the market prices that in and their policy gets out of hand. So this is how they control the market, how they control expectations. But they're starting to flip a little bit, which is dovish. Goolsbee again says Fed can cut rates if tariff inflation doesn't come. Tariff inflation will not come. Tariffs are not inflationary at all. Tariffs are a tax. Taxes reduce the amount of currency supply that is able to chase goods and services because you're taking out currency in the form of tax. Tariffs are not inflationary. Taxes are disinflationary. Inflation will not come from that. Yes, you can say, well, there may be shortages of some things. No, that doesn't raise inflation, okay? What that does is it just simply makes less currency available to chase those goods and services. Less GDP, less activity means disinflationary prices. That's my opinion. You can, disagree if you want. I do not think taxes are inflationary. It's pretty obvious. But all of this stuff, right, is leaning towards them starting to get a little bit more dovish. Rates at 4%, completely and totally offside. We're not talking about starting QE and pumping markets. We're just saying that if inflation measures are at 2.5, you being at 4% is completely the wrong rate. The US is cutting, you can see here. Around the world, you can see all these green dots. Everyone's cutting. We're in a huge bull market, and the US then coming out and cutting 100, 150 basis points, I just think is massive for stimulative effects for risk assets and BTC. Again, noise versus signal. The signal is that what we're trading here is not Bitcoin. We all know that Bitcoin is the strongest, most desirable form of money. It's a network that is growing. It's now being accepted at the highest levels. The US government, right, states in the US bringing on strategic reserves, or that's basically just policy that says, yeah, the pension fund can hold it. If US pension funds are holding this thing, the thing's growing. Everyone knows that. There's no questions about this network being successful or desirable at all, right? So we know that. And on the other side, it's actually dollar liquidity that drives the price of Bitcoin, and that's it. Bitcoin doesn't change. It's the same thing. It's the same yesterday as it will be tomorrow. And next year it will be exactly the same thing. It was the same thing 5 years ago. Bitcoin literally has not changed in all this time. Literally exactly the same. The thing that changes is the amount of currency, fiat currency in circulation, interest rates, policy, etc. We all know that over time, the amount of currency must increase. So you have a 100% chance of the amount of currency increasing versus Bitcoin, which will stay the same and is the most desirable form of money. So it's pretty obvious, right? Remember, 90% of Bitcoin's price action is driven by liquidity, 90%. And what do I think is going to be happening over the next 6 to 12 months? I think the Fed is going to come way down in interest rates. That can increase liquidity for risk assets. And I think the big, beautiful bill is going to increase liquidity as well. They will up the debt ceiling, 100% chance for that. And tax cuts are stimulative. So that's it, right? That's the trade that we're in. We all know it. For the NASDAQ, it's actually a 97% correlation with liquidity. Now for Bitcoin, less correlation because it has more upside, ironically, because of the network growth. So it's actually uncorrelated because it actually outperforms to the upside. The correlation between currency and Bitcoin is so tight because we value it in the currency. Bitcoin is the same. It's the currency that we're trading here. When you trade Bitcoin, you're actually trading dollars. What you're doing is going short dollars, selling dollars to buy the asset. Liquidity will increase. That's all what they want to do. The big beautiful bill, the Treasury implementing the SLR. So they're trying to increase liquidity all the time. That is the game. That is the game. The game is always to increase liquidity, to debase the currency, right? To debase your currency faster than other nations so that your goods and services and your production are more desirable, to earn their production, to earn their savings. This is the game. Just buy Bitcoin, wait for the liquidity to actually come. So there's a 90% correlation, and I think liquidity will increase. Bitcoin's outperforming everything. It just simply has more growth. But if you want to buy the NASDAQ at 18% yearly growth, it's the Mag 7 really what you're investing in. When you buy the S&P, all of the returns are coming from like basically 5 companies, not even 7. Let's say 5 companies. That's where all the returns are coming from if you're buying the S&P. You've just got way more detritus. With the NASDAQ, fewer companies, you've just got way higher. Like if you look at the NASDAQ and the S&P, what are the top, stocks? Microsoft, Nvidia, right? Apple, Amazon, right? That's what you're investing. That's where all the returns are coming. But Bitcoin is just simply growing faster than those. And that's it, right? You don't want to invest in anything else. If 10% is the rate, right? 10% is the actual debasement rate and the inflation rate that you have to beat. You're losing money in bonds. You're losing money in real estate. Gold's keeping up. S&P a little bit better. But Bitcoin is the trade of our generation, right? That's it. Now you look at all the demand specifically coming for BTC as well. ECD Automotive Design buys 500 million. Pompiolo raises $1 billion to buy Bitcoin. Right, this one, 5G semiconductor companies, 384 million to buy Bitcoin. You've got Texas potentially putting it in the pension fund. Metaplanet buys over 1,000 Bitcoin. Right, it's all there. There's a huge demand for BTC specifically. And as liquidity increases, that will get bigger and bigger and bigger, eventually to some sort of market top. But we're nowhere near that now. And that's why I still think we have a long way to go in this bull market. If you do trade, check out the Bybit deposit bonus down below up to $30,000. You can get a permanent fee discount on Apex as well if you trade from your crypto wallet down in the description. I'm James, this is MoneyZG. Cheers for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.